Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
Hi, and welcome to the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig, along with your City Manager for the City of Oshkosh, Mark Roloff. Mark, thanks for being here today.
Great to be here, Andy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're back for a new show in 2021. And today we'll be talking about some municipal news updates in the first part of the program, like usual. And then after a short break, we'll come back and talk about some agenda highlights from the upcoming Tuesday, January 12th Common Council meeting. So Mark, we have a lot of material today, a lot of different things, and I know often we try to update folks on what's going on with relating to COVID, and if we could just touch on the fact that City Hall is open and different things going on relating to that.
Yeah, well, we reopened City Hall back in December, and the traffic flow has been good. People have been very respectful of wearing masks, social distancing, all that, so we really appreciate that. But we're still encouraging people to use the online services that we've established, and they're working very well. So, if you want to take a look before you do anything, if we can do it virtually, we encourage you to do it. But certainly, if you need our help, we're going to continue to help you no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and we're seeing on the screen that there are a lot of online services available through the city's website. There's also they showed for just a brief moment there the COVID page, which updates what's happening in different city departments. So if you have questions about hours at the museum or different places, that information is all available there. So you can always go back to that website for reference.
Yeah, and meanwhile, our public meetings are going to remain virtual, even though we've reopened City Hall. We're going to keep our meetings virtual through February. We need to do advance notices on public hearings and things like that, so we need to know that a few weeks in advance. So we've made the decision that we're going to continue online through February. We're going to keep evaluating it to see where we are for March and months forward, but stay tuned, but plan on our meetings going virtual. That's council as well as all of our public boards and commissions.
Okay, all right, thank you for that update. And then we also received some very good news that the city is receiving some additional funds relating to the Routes to Recovery program.
Yeah, this was the federal money that came to assist with Routes to Recovery came through the state, and so the State Department of Administration had taken in all the requests, and we were initially awarded about $1.1 million for costs that we incurred. We were able to document over $1.5 million. And so after everything was brought in and submitted, there are some cities that didn't submit anything or submitted different numbers. So there was a little bit of extra money that was floating around. So even though we had submitted $1.5 million, we're actually going to get over $1.2 million. So about $115,000 more in supplemental Routes to Recovery money. And that's in recognition of the fact that we did incur a lot of different costs. When you think of everything we've had to do to sanitize our buildings when they were open, and personal protection devices for all of our public safety folks, and just other costs that we've incurred during that time, we provided a good deal of documentation with everything we did, and the Department of Administration felt it was worthy to give us a little bit extra. So we appreciate that because it certainly helps.
And it's really a wide range of different uses for those funds.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was costs associated with dealing with the pandemic and things like that, but certainly documented and warranted.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. And we touched on it a little bit earlier, just the fact that folks can use online resources that the city has available for bill payments and such. But Mark, just a reminder that folks can pay their utility bills through a variety of means.
Oh, absolutely. And we were encouraging people to do this long before the pandemic,
right.
But I think it's heightened people's awareness of it, which is great. You can, for utility billing, for example, you can have utility bills automatically deducted from your checking or savings account. That's my kind of favorite that we do. So it works very easily. We tell you what date we're going to withdraw it, so you can plan ahead and you're in good shape. There's other things you can do. You can use what's called the oshbillpay.com and make a payment for a lot of things, like general billing, parking tickets, renewing your animal license, but there's a small fee. So there's no fee if you do the automatic withdrawal from your checking or savings, but there is a fee for that oshkoshbillpay.com.
Okay, and then also in December, the property tax bills were sent out, and so there's a variety of ways that folks can pay those property taxes. You
can use that oshkoshbillpay.com, but again, you're paying a little bit of extra money. But there's so many different options with property taxes. Sending it in the mail is still a tried and true method. We still have the drop box here at City Hall, and of course, we mentioned Bill Pay. Community First Credit Union, their lobby will take payments. So, and you don't have to be a customer of Community First. You can pay it there anyway.
Okay.
Or you can come here at City Hall. We do require a mask, but there's so many other options. If you really want to come to City Hall and see our cashiers, they'll be happy to talk to you and everything. But there's so many other good options available. I encourage you to use those.
Okay, and I know that there was a question a while back about people seeing when they got their utility bill that the payment is sent to Palatine, Illinois. So again, just the fact that that happens to be the place where the processing is done.
We work with Associated Bank, which is a Green Bay-based company, and when we have the discussions about this, we didn't know they were going to be sending it to a operation in Illinois, but the whole purpose behind that is that it gets deposited, the intent is to get it deposited sooner, so it clears your account, it gets deposited in our account, so it's kind of a win-win. I know we've had some little bugs as we gotten started, but we're working through those, and we're going to keep working on this. But if you say, well, I'll just send it to City Hall, it'll be quicker, we still have to send it back to Illinois, so it really doesn't save you any time, and you spend your own stamp, and then we have to spend another stamp. So just send it to the address on the envelope, and it'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Very good. Plenty of options for folks to take advantage of. Changing gears completely, we're talking about, we have tree pruning coming up. The Forestry Division likes to take care of a lot of that when the trees are dormant at this time of year. And so we're looking at the area west of Highway 41 where we might see them out working.
Yeah, everything west of I-41 this year, and that's actually about 1,900 trees that we have to maintain. So, we do pruning, not every tree. We look good and evaluate those things, but generally, we spend a good part of the winter going after those things. So, because of emerald ash borer, we do take a look and make sure, what the condition of a tree is that has evidence of emerald ash borer. We don't tear it out if we see it. If it's the beginnings of it, we do want the tree to last as long as possible, because as we replace these trees, we want to stretch out that replacement schedule so that we don't have a bunch of trees planted in the same year.
Okay.
Long term, we want to have a nice wide range of ages. So we aren't going to take them out immediately, but we are going to keep an eye on them. But once they're dead, we will promptly remove the deceased emerald ash borer trees.
Okay. All right. They'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. And if folks have specific questions about their terrace trees, they can contact Bill Sturm over at he's the Landscape Operations Manager, 236-5080 if you have more questions for Bill. And relating to some changes for 2021 with garbage and recycling, I know that there was confusion in the past about pizza boxes and things like that. Can that be recycled? Can it not? Well, now they can.
Yeah, well, it may be confusing for some people because the habit has been pizza boxes were not allowed. Now, relatively clean takeout pizza boxes can now be recycled. The data shows that minimal grease and small amounts of cheese in the pizza boxes don't have any effect on the recyclability. So as long as it's relatively clean, you can throw it in the recycling bin now. But on the flip side, shredded paper, which I've religiously put that in recycling, what they're seeing is that shredded paper, once the bag breaks open, it has a tendency to stick to other recyclables, and it really doesn't make for clean recycling. So they're saying shredded paper is now garbage. So please be aware of that. It's technically recyclable, but it's just not working, and they think that that's probably a better way to do it. So these are county decisions because county operates recycling.
So just trying to improve their processes, and I think they're trying to streamline their operations with this.
Yeah, but we know that some office supply stores, shipping stores, and financial institutions, they do offer shredding services, and they have a way to get that recycled, so you don't have to worry about that. Or just minimize what you shred, to the most important things, and just throw other recycling in the recycling bin, and you'll be okay.
All right, very good. And folks can always look for their recycling information through the sanitation section on the city's website. Well, we've got another topic. Vacant buildings have become an item that departments are taking a look at, and folks are being asked to register their vacant properties in Oshkosh, both residential and commercial properties.
Yeah, with one of the unfortunate outcomes of the pandemic is that several businesses have gone out of business, which makes the buildings vacant. And we just want to make sure that if it's vacant, that we're aware of it, so that, for example, our police, if they see it being occupied, they can check it out and make sure it's not being vandalized or somebody's squatting in there or something like that.
Sure.
But we do require that it's that you register, but in keeping with state law, there's no cost to the owner, and you can register online. So we want to encourage people to register so we know that it's there and we can keep an eye on it for you, and then neighbors can as well. And if a neighbor contacts us, we say it's vacant. We know who to contact and explain the problem. And if it's a vacant property, sometimes people may not be minding it as much as they would if it was occupied. So these are the reasons that we do it. But easy registration online. Encourage people to look that up. We got the link there. And again, it's no cost, so it really makes a lot of sense. There are some exemptions, historic buildings and landmarks, a building that's any building that's completely vacant is still subject to the vacant property maintenance. So we want to make sure that things aren't left to their own devices. So, we want people to keep an eye on it. And if we notice something, then we'll give you a call.
Absolutely. And folks can take a look at the city's website for the full details on that, but there's no fee to register your property if it's vacant, and we encourage folks to do that. Well, Mark, you mentioned about some of the things that have been happening in the fallout from COVID-19 and everything that's happened. One of the things is homelessness. Actually, is an issue in Oshkosh. Folks might not realize it, but there is help for those folks, and it's an issue that the city is trying to find some solutions for.
Yeah, it's not a huge issue, but it's a very real issue. And if you're impacted by it, certainly it has an impact. And 11 years ago, we were fortunate enough that a nonprofit entity, Day by Day Warming Shelter, was created, and they deal with immediate overnight needs for somebody. But that doesn't really take care of what's known as the continuum of care for homeless people, getting them to a position where they can live in independent housing that they're responsible for. So transitional parting is part of that, and Day by Day does not offer transitional housing. They do offer some services to try to get these folks, their customers, their clients, back on their feet. And we've been very fortunate that the Community Foundation has been working with an organization out of Appleton called COTS that's been operating for over 20 years now. And that's a nonprofit organization that helps individuals that are experiencing homelessness, and it's called Transitional Housing. Okay. It's an apartment that is theirs to use. It's intended for a shorter period of time, but they have daytime and nighttime access. It's their apartment. They have some pretty high standards to make sure that folks are serious about wanting to address whatever issues they may have that may be causing homelessness, or at least standing in the way of them getting more independent housing. The good news is that somebody who participates in COTS, there's an 88% success rate upon the completion of the program. So if you stick with the COTS program, 88% of those folks move on to success, which means independent living. And that's really what it was about. And the reason we're talking about it is that some people may have heard that there was an offer to purchase a hotel in town, and that deal fell through. But once people became aware of it, they're like, well, wait a minute, is this day by day? And it's not. It's a totally different, it's the next level up. And we do need that to get people to total independent housing. We gotta just get out of just dealing with the acute issue of nighttime homelessness and work on to other things. So council's given me some direction that they would like me to work closely with the community on ways to do it. And so you're going to hear more about COTS. I think it's a very well-run organization. I've got some experience dealing with them over the years. I know they can deliver the results, and hopefully they can get a facility here in Oshkosh and help us address the broader issue of homelessness.
And I know that they help folks, in addition to the transitional housing, they help them with finding work and being self-sufficient in many different ways.
Exactly. So, get them to independent living.
Okay, very good. Recently we had the deadline come up for filing for for running for office locally here, and we have several candidates for council and several candidates for mayor. So we have some elections coming up.
Yes, not only do we have elections, but we have primary elections because there are 9 candidates for council. Anytime there's more than 6 for the 3 spots, we have to have a primary. And there are 4 candidates for mayor, and anytime there's more than 2, we also have a primary. So we're going to have a primary for both, and those will be on Tuesday, February 16th. That'll be the primary date, and then there'll be the general election in April. Early voting is going to be available just like it has been for other elections, and I know with COVID there's still going to be a greater demand for early voting, and we're going to make that available in accordance with state law and everything. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be giving you more information soon. But we wanted to make people aware that there will be a primary on February 16th.
Okay, and as a side note, Oshkosh Media will be covering some candidate forums along with the Oshkosh League of Women Voters. So stay tuned for more information about that so you can learn about your candidates. And Mark, one other item too is that there is a public ice rink that's coming soon. Our weather hasn't really been cooperating that much, but it's coming soon. Another
great partnership with the Oshkosh Community Foundation. The skate rink used to be over by the convention center. Now we're putting it over by Roe Park between the County Human Services Building and the downtown Y. But it's weather dependent, and Mother Nature has been too kind to us this winter. Right. So it's not ready open yet. So keep your ears open for when it's going to be open. But when it opens, those are the rules, but it will be free to the public. Not only free to the public, but Dr. Eric's Skate Club will be providing ice skates at no charge from 3 to 7 p.m. on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays once the rink is open. So if you're a big skating fan, cross your fingers for colder weather so we can get this thing all frozen for you and enjoy the skating. And keep watching the Oshkosh Parks Department Facebook page as you see it there, and they will have some updates for you, and just reminding folks to not take advantage of it quite yet until it's officially open. Sometimes there can be some damage that happens if it's used when it's not quite ready yet, but stay tuned and take a look at that. So Mark, I think that's about what we have for the first half of the program here today. And what we'll be doing is take a short break, and after the break we'll come back and talk about some agenda highlights from the upcoming Tuesday, January 12th Common Council meeting. So stay tuned to the City Manager's Report.
We grew up together. We believed in something bigger than ourselves. The military took me to one side of the world and her to the other. And even though she was always the strong one, when we caught up years later, I found out she had fallen on some hard times. It was her call to make, but doing it together made all the difference.
For veterans who are homeless or on the brink of homelessness, call 877-424-3833. 838.
Hey, it's Molly from the Day by Day Warming Shelter, and if you are able to give this holiday season and would consider giving to Day by Day Warming Shelter, we could really use the following items: 25 new pillows, backpacks, sleeping bags, and men and women's long underwear. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year, and we wish you a blessed holiday season.
And welcome back to the City Manager's Report. We'll be taking a look at some agenda items from the upcoming Tuesday, January 12th Common Council meeting. And Mark, the meeting will be starting off with a closed session relating to redevelopment of the Miles Kimball building.
Yeah, we don't often talk about closed session items because there's negotiating things, but there's been a development proposal to redevelop the Miles Kimball building over there at 9th and South Main. So we'll be talking to council about what the developers may be seeking when they submit their application for a tax increment financing district, and get some parameters from council so that once they make the application, we can evaluate it properly and get good direction to negotiate appropriately with what council desires. This doesn't mean it's happening. The council still has to approve it. The Joint Review Board still needs to approve it, but the council asked a few years ago that we start this process earlier so that we can get negotiating parameters set. So that's what we're doing.
Okay. And then we have an item to approve a revised investment policy. Mark, what does this mean?
The city invests whatever surplus or funds that they have for cash flow purposes, but we're very restricted on what we're allowed to invest in. And state statutes govern a lot of that. Our long-range finance committee reviews our investment policy to make sure that it's in keeping with the state statutes. So it's an extra layer of protection. The standards for investments are really safety first, liquidity, ability to cash things in second, and then yield. The return on the investment is actually the third most important.
Okay.
And the old joke is that it's really safety, safety, and safety are the top three. Long-range finance committee is considering that, so they're making a recommendation to council.
Okay, very good. And then we have some items relating to special assessments. Must be that time of year we're looking at some construction projects.
Yeah, this is as much about the street construction projects as it is about special assessments. The council is still considering some changes to special assessment policy, but we're not there with those yet. So we as staff have to go through the process to make sure that we've notified people about the potential for special assessments, but it's really about what street projects are going on this year. We've already had one initial resolution for street projects out there on West 9th Avenue, west of Oakwood, but we've got 3 other projects. The first one, Amro Road, over on the west side, from West Haven to Brooks Lane. A lot of that's in cooperation with the town of Algoma. Not a lot of city properties there. The other one is the next phase of extending sewer on South Oregon Street, and we're going further south. So we're going this year 28th Avenue to just south of Waukah Avenue. So it's not as heavily populated out there. So and we're just really doing it to get the sewer out there. The big one that's of interest to a lot of people is CP Avenue.
Okay.
Long overdue. And at CP Avenue, as the map shows, from just west of Bowen to Lake Street, towards the end, right at the lake. The idea there is we do all the utilities as well as the street itself. We take care of all of it in one fell swoop. So look for that project this year. It'll make CP a little bit tough to access, but you've got some streets, and we'll be working with the residents and everybody to make sure that they can reach destinations in that neighborhood without too much of an inconvenience.
Okay. And I know it's needed. That street definitely needs it.
Absolutely.
So I know we have quite a few special events on the agenda, but kind of skipping ahead a little bit here, there's an item for a fee for special event equipment fees, and I know there might be some question about what an equipment fee is.
Well, any time that we have a special event, if somebody uses some city equipment, a vehicle, even barricades, we have a fee schedule, and it's based on FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. That's sort of the standard that everybody uses. We started implementing that a few years ago, and the council ramped it up that in 2021, we were supposed to use the full FEMA rate, 100% of whatever FEMA said.
Okay.
At the last meeting when fees were discussed, Councilmember Mugarauer raised the issue about, well, given everything that's been happening with special events, a lot of the special events we're doing are still, kind of hovering on whether or not COVID's going to put a little kibosh on them. And a lot of groups took a big hit financially by not having their events, because a lot of these are fundraisers for our community groups. So Councilmember Mugarauer is asking that we consider rolling back to 50% of the FEMA rates, which is what we did in 2019.
Okay.
So he's going to ask that, and council can take that up. We're planning, we'll give him an analysis. It's only about $22,000 that the city would lose. It's something that the council can take that up and make that decision.
Okay, very good. And then also in other items toward the end of the meeting, there's a topic, a joint meeting scheduled with the Oshkosh Area School Board. And what topics are being looked at for that?
Well, periodically, the council and school board like to get together to talk about things of mutual interest. We had a successful program with the busing, where we're offering free busing to the students, and we worked out an arrangement for that. Some of the other ones, the PSLO program, that's the Police School Liaison Officer program. Our officers in the schools, it's been very successful in talking about that, and I think that's one of the topics that the council wants to talk about, the cost-sharing relationship and things like that. And then, the school just had a referendum to put in a couple new schools, and, we want to make sure that we're working closely with the school district, that we recognize the impact it could have on our neighborhoods, as well as, making sure we work with them that traffic flow issues are okay, and that there are no surprises as they go through the process that unnecessarily delays their project or puts extra costs, because if we put extra costs in the school district, that hits all of us. We're all the taxpayers. So it's really making sure, and a lot of people don't realize the school board and the city are two separate legal entities, but we recognize the need to work together, and so we'll probably be talking about that a little bit. And I'm going to be asking council, are there any other topics you want to talk about? Okay.
And that open communication between these governing bodies is always a healthy thing. So
absolutely.
Definitely. And just a side note, that meeting will be covered on Oshkosh Media Gov TV, January 20th at 6 p.m., as you saw in the graphic earlier. So speaking of upcoming meetings and things, the State of the City program, we're taking a look at doing a virtual event this year. So just so folks can kind of save the date, we're looking at March 22nd.
Well, this is a big deal for you and for me, because Oshkosh Media is such a big part of it, but we've made the decision with the uncertainty on things, and we normally do it in March, and we're going to do it in March. It's going to be on March 22nd, but it's going to be virtual. So we're not going to have the City Exhibit Expo, which is so fun and everything. We'll do that again. Don't worry about that. But we've got some creative things to put together to make it an exciting event. We generally only have about 200 people. I say only, but that's a good crowd. But we have 66,000 people in Oshkosh. If we do a virtual event and you can watch it at your convenience, perhaps it'll reach more people. So we'll do some promotion with it to get you interested and make it a fun event for everybody and informative. We've done a lot of stuff while people have been hunkered down during COVID, and we want to celebrate those things. We're doing some good things, and I think it's important that we, as a community, celebrate those things, and this will be one way of doing it.
Okay, and we'll keep folks informed as we get closer to the date, and but just wanted to get it on the radar out there that it's coming up. So, well, Mark, I think that's about what we have time for today. So thanks for being here.
Always a pleasure, Andy.
And welcome to 2021. All right. Well, again, that Common Council meeting is coming up on Tuesday, January 12th. That will be carried live here on Oshkosh Media Gov TV at 6 p.m. You can also watch on Spectrum Channel 10, Uverse Channel 99, and streaming on YouTube and the Oshkosh Media website. Or you can listen on the radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9, which is also online and on the TuneIn radio app for mobile devices. So thanks for joining us today, and please join us again in 2 weeks for another new City Manager's Report. Stay safe and stay well.